Hello Year 5, welcome to Thursday's chapter of Who Let the Gods Out. Now, just like Mrs. Elmore did yesterday, I'm going to read the chapter to you, tell you when you need to pause me to have a go at the guided reading activities. Remember to answer them in full sentences. Okay, chapter 17, Family Matters. Zeus was barely halfway through his explanation of Thanatos' escape when Aphrodite had pulled the keys to her sports car out of her handbag. "I'm in," she squealed. "Sounds like fun." But Athena was going to take more persuading. Zeus, Elliot and Aphrodite were in Athena's office in St. Brainiac College, Oxford, where Athena was an esteemed professor of politics, philosophy, economics, English, French, Spanish, classics, natural sciences and basket weaving. It was a delicate negotiation. "You are such a boring-brained library lame-o boffin bum!" Aphrodite shouted at her sister across the grand mahogany desk. "I see you've been studying the big book of intelligent insults," Athena shot back over the top of her tortoiseshell glasses. Zeus looked at Elliot with a raised eyebrow. "See what I mean?" Elliot could hear him say. "I can't believe you'd rather sit here with your big pointy nose stuck in a book than be out finding the Chaos Stones," Aphrodite pouted. "Just because you look like a pensioner doesn't mean that you have to act like one." Painful as it was to disagree with Aphrodite, Elliot could see she was being very hard on her sister. Athena would normally be the most beautiful woman in the room. She was slender, with ebony hair piled in an elegant knot, her deep brown eyes radiating intelligence and grace over the rim of her glasses. But Elliot was convinced that all other girls looked like snotty warthogs next to Aphrodite. "I am a highly regarded academic," said Athena grandly. "Some of us aren't fortunate enough to play boyfriends and girlfriends. Some of us improve mortal kind with brilliant thought." "I've given mortals beauty and joy," replied Aphrodite. "You've given them some boring books for the downstairs loo. Besides, you're not so grand when you're cheating on those TV quiz shows." "I do not cheat," said Athena defensively. "I win those competitions fair and square." "Sure you do," said Aphrodite with a naughty grin. "Although, with a few extra millennia to study, any idiot could beat those poor mortals." "Not any idiot," said Athena, looking directly at her sister. "Come now, girlies, this is no time for squabbling," Zeus chided. "We need to get those Chaos Stones and put Thanatos back in prison where he belongs. We're a team. I need you." Okay, pause me there. Have a go. What are the similarities and differences between the two sisters, using a little bit of Cassie commentator to help you out there? Okay, welcome back. "Yes, father, you're packed with Hypnos. Surely you can't think that was wise," said Athena, her dark eyes full of disapproval. "Whatever," yawned Aphrodite. "Prissy Pants, are you in or out?" "Out," said Athena stubbornly. Aphrodite opened her mouth to launch another barrage at her sister, but was hushed by her father's hand on her shoulder. "We could really use your fabulous bonnet, sweetie," said Zeus, "but no is no." With Aphrodite chewing her tongue, Zeus started to usher her out of the door. Elliot didn't have siblings, but he'd seen enough of other people's to know how they worked. Besides, if Athena could help him find the Earthstones, he needed her on the team. "I'm sorry you're not coming, Athena," he said. "I'm sorry too, Elliot, but I wish you well," she said grumpily. "That's really kind," he said. "Besides, it's probably for the best. This isn't your sort of thing." "What makes you say that?" bristled Athena. "Oh, nothing. Just something Aphrodite said. Nice to meet you," he added, starting out of the room under Zeus's admiring gaze. What did she say?" asked Athena, failing to sound as if she didn't care. "Nothing bad, just that you preferred reading to fighting." "Well, that's not strictly true. I am a warrior goddess." "And that you probably felt a bit old to fight demons." "I'm hardly older than she is." "And that she usually comes up with the best plans anyway." "She said what?" shouted Athena, hastily stuffing some books into a large bag. "Aphrodite, come back here. I'll show you who's the best fighter." And in a blaze of fury, the goddess of wisdom swept out of the door towards Aphrodite's sports car. "Good show, old man," winked Zeus as they headed out of the university behind her. With the squabbling, Athena and Aphrodite dispatched to fetch Hephaestus, god of the forge, from his job fixing supermarket self-service machines, Elliot and Zeus flew back to home farm. Elliot looked in on his mum, who was happily chatting with Hestia about wallpaper textures in the lounge. All was well, or at least no sign of the horse's bum. So Elliot hurried back to the cowshed to find out how he was going to get the Earthstone and save his home. "Boom! You're back!" shouted Hermes. "We've been busier than photoshopping Fashion Week. We found Hypnos in a list of the Earth's richest mortals." "How can you be sure?" said Athena sharply, striding into the barn with Aphrodite and a short, stocky man whose right shoulder was slightly higher than his left. He reminded Elliot of a troll action figure he enjoyed playing with when he was younger, although when he saw the huge bronze axe hanging inside the man's brown trench coat, he quickly decided he wouldn't tell him that. "Ah, you're here!" boomed Zeus happily. The troll inclined his head in greeting. "Morning," he said. "Heffy, old bean, this is Elliot, a marvellous new friend. Elliot, this handsome chap is Hephaestus, inventor and builder extraordinaire." "How do?" said Hephaestus coolly, but not unkindly. "Hi, Hephaestus," bumbled Elliot, unable to get his mouth around the name. "Hephaestus," Zeus whispered in his ear. "Darn awkward name." "Nothing wrong with me hearing, though," said Hephaestus, producing a massive hammer from his coat, before wandering over to the other side of the shed to look at Bessie's broken water feeder. "Hypnos will have dissembled into a mortal form," Athena continued. "He won't look like the Damon we know." "Hold tight," said Hermes, putting his palm up to Athena. "Now, where is my eye god? You've gotta love this." "Snortle snot!" yelled Hephaestus, hitting his thumb with the hammer as he fixed the feeder. Hermes scrambled around in his small bag, his whole arm delving in it up to the shoulder. He threw out unwanted items, including a stuffed panda, a green macaroon, and the 1994 edition of the London A to Z, the last of which hit Hephaestus on the head, bringing the golden hammer down on his thumb for a second time. "Snortle snot!" cried the immortal blacksmith again, as he whipped the throbbing thumb to his mouth, immediately dropping the offending hammer on his foot. "Snortle snot!" he bellowed for the third time, not knowing which injury to treat first, leaving him awkwardly sucking his thumb and hopping on his good foot for 5 seconds it took for him to fall over and bang his head. "What does snortle snot mean?" grinned Elliot. "Ah, well, it's not a word one usually hears in polite company," said Virgo disapprovingly. "It's an ancient Titan curse. It's tricky to translate, but roughly it means, 'May the gods forever poke you in the rear end with a pointy potato and throw monkey dung at your sister.'" "Don't all rush at once. I'm fine," grumbled Hephaestus, struggling to his feet. "Seriously, where did I leave it? Oh, here it is," said Hermes triumphantly, spotting the tortoise-shell eye god on the floor. "So, this is just wicked. I downloaded a new app from the Golden Apple store just the other day. It's called Veritum. When you tap on a photograph, it shows you the true essence of the person in the picture." "Bosh!" Hermes tapped the picture of the first billionaire on the eye god, a bold, bespectacled man who'd made his fortune in computers. At his touch, the photograph changed from a middle-aged man to a scrawny-looking chicken. Hermes nearly fell off his barrel, laughing. "Boom! You should see what happens when you Veritas some Hollywood actors. It's disgusting. Now then." Hermes went down the list, tapping the pictures. The images variously changed from snakes to toads to rats, while one famous model turned out to be nothing more than a pair of plastic jugs. "What about this one?" said Aphrodite. "Richard M. Trumpington, founder of One Born online gambling site." "Quite righty, Aphrodite," chimed Hermes, prodding Trumpington's unremarkable mortal features. The picture instantly changed into a gaunt, wild-eyed young man, whose face was locked in a crazy and quite terrifying grimace. At first glance, his chaotic white hair encircled his head like a warped halo, but on closer inspection, it was in fact a mass of tiny feathers in the shape of a pair of wings on either side of his head. In his hands, he clutched a curved ivory trumpet. "That's him," said Zeus quietly. "That's Hypnos." "Wow, he hasn't exactly had a rough time of it," said Hermes, dropping his eye god on the hay bale. "Estimated wealth of £500 billion. He lives in a 75-bedroom mansion in the Highlands. What a show-off." Okay, I'm just going to change the screen here. Using this description then, this description of Hypnos, can you draw a picture of what you think he looks like? Make sure you label it using vocabulary from the text, finding out that evidence to support your drawing. Pause me here and then come back when you've done your picture. Okay, welcome back. So we've had Hypnos, his description. He lives in a 75-bedroom mansion in the Highlands. What a show-off. I thought immortals can't keep mortal money, asked Elliot. We can't, sighed Zeus. We all had to swear on the sticks to adhere to the sacred code, but the Zodiac Council didn't know Hypnos was alive. He wasn't made to take the oath. Our rules don't apply to him. Lucky so-and-so. If we can find him this easily, so can Thanatos, said Athena, as a copy of the Daily Argus flew into the cowshed out of nowhere, hitting Hephaestus, who dropped the hammer on his thumb in a symphony of snoddle-snots. We need to get to Hypnos first, while we've got the element of surprise. You can forget about that, said Pegasus, eyeing the front page of the Daily Argus. Elliot surveyed the newspaper. The lead story was illustrated with a black and brown picture in the style Elliot had seen on the side of a Greek vase. The lead story was illustrated with a black and brown picture in the style Elliot had seen on the side of Greek vases. At first he couldn't make out what it depicted, but when he looked more closely, he saw that the picture was of Thanatos dangling Virgo by the hair, while Elliot cowered in front of him. Mortal Peril by Ovid, current affairs correspondent. The Argos has just come across the great escape of Thanatos. Virgo met the ancient crook and let the daemon sling his hook. The Virgo girl was only due to visit prisoner 42. She took the drink for him to sup, and then she royally stuffed it up. 'Cause when she crossed the sacred portal, the ninny brought along a mortal. The human child broke the spell. Now Thanatos will give us hell. The daemon's villains are on the loose. These silly kids have cooked our goose. We've got a mole! Shouted an outraged Athena. Are you accusing one of us of leaking the story? Huffed Aphrodite. No, said Athena, picking up a shovel and whacking a small mound of earth next to her. We've got a mole. A slightly dazed mole holding a notepad and pencil stuck his head out of the soil before scuttling back underground. I'd better call the Zodiac Council and let them know, said Virgo. May I borrow your eye god, Hermes? Bosh, said Hermes, dialing the number before replacing the device on a bail. Not being funny, the signal is pants. It might cut out. After a few rings, a flickering hologram of Pisces' fishy face was projected on the wall beside Bessie's pen. And before I tell you what Pisces says, I'm going to stop this one because we're going to run out of time. Join me in the next video for the second part of the chapter.